10 hoodies, same weight, same cotton, prices from $35 to $965. This is a full breakdown of every price point, and exactly where you stop paying for a hoodie and start paying for a label. Hoodie number 10. Gildan Heavy Blend, $35. Gildan retails the Heavy Blend full zip hoodie between $25 and $40 depending on the colorway and retailer. The fabric is an 8-ounce 50-50 cotton polyester fleece blend. The manufacturing cost per unit runs between $4 and $7, produced through contracted facilities in Honduras, Bangladesh, and Haiti. The gross margin on Gildan's wholesale to retail transaction sits above 55%. At 8 ounces, the Gildan Heavy Blend sits at the lower threshold of what qualifies as a heavyweight fleece. The 50-50 blend is the construction decision that defines the product's performance ceiling. Polyester content at 50% provides shape retention and fast drying, but reduces breathability relative to cotton-dominant blends, traps heat more efficiently than cotton in warmer conditions, and produces the mild synthetic feel against the skin that distinguishes blended fleece from pure cotton construction. The construction is single needle throughout, except for the hem, which uses a double needle finish. The draw cord is a round cord rather than flat, which means it frays at the tips faster and pulls unevenly through the hood over time. The kangaroo pocket is single-layer construction with no reinforcement at the corners. What the Gildan Heavy Blend is, without apology, is a blank canvas. It is the hoodie that every screen printer, embroiderer, and brand without a manufacturing operation buys in bulk, adds a logo to, and sells to you at 10 times the price. Every branded hoodie at a concert, a university, or a corporate merchandise store is almost certainly a Gildan or a similar blank with a different label. The product at $35 is the most honest price on this list because Gildan is not pretending the fabric is anything other than what it is. Consumer Longevity reports average 2.5 to 3 years of regular wear. At $35 across 2.7 years, the annual cost is $12.96. Hoodie number 9, Champion Reverse Weave, $65. Champion retails the reverse weave hoodie between $55 and $75. The fabric is in 12-ounce cotton polyester blend at 82% cotton and 18% polyester. The reverse weave construction, with the weft running horizontally rather than vertically through the fabric, was developed to resist vertical shrinkage, which is the primary dimensional failure in standard fleece after repeated washing. At 12 ounces, the reverse weave is 50% heavier than the Gildan Heavy Blend. That weight difference is physically perceptible in your hands before you put it on. The higher cotton percentage produces a noticeably more natural hand feel than the 50-50 Gildan blend, with better breathability and less synthetic surface texture. The reverse weave technology is a genuine and documentable construction advantage. Independent wash testing confirms that the horizontal weft construction shrinks less than 2% in the vertical dimension after 10 wash cycles, compared to 5 to 8% for standard vertically woven fleece at equivalent weight. That means the hoodie fits the same after 2 years of washing as it did when you bought it, which is the most practically useful performance guarantee in fleece construction. The manufacturing cost for the reverse weave runs between $14 and $20. At $65 retail, the markup is 3 to 4 times. That is an honest ratio relative to the construction investment. Consumer Longevity reports average 4 to 5 years. At $65 across 4.5 years, the annual cost is $14.44. Higher annual cost than the Gildan despite longer lifespan because the sticker price is nearly double. The construction upgrade is real. The value question is whether $30 more over 4.5 years, approximately $6.67 per year extra, justifies the fabric weight increase and shrinkage resistance. For most buyers, it does. Hoodie number 8, Carhartt Midweight, Hooded Sweatshirt, $60. Carhartt retails the midweight hoodie between $45 and $65. The fabric is a 13-ounce 50-50 cotton polyester fleece, heavier than the Champion Reverse Weave at 12 ounces and built to a workwear durability standard that lifestyle brands do not attempt to match at any price. The seam construction is where the Carhartt separates from every entry below it on this list. triple-stitched main seams are standard across the Carhartt hooded sweatshirt line. Triple stitching adds $2 to $4 to the manufacturing cost per unit and extends measured seam life by approximately 40% compared to double-stitched equivalents in independent wear testing. The kangaroo pocket is reinforced at the corners with bar tack stitching at every documented stress point. The cuff ribbing uses a higher gauge knit that retains elasticity measurably longer than the standard cuff construction on lifestyle hoodies. Consumer Reports seam integrity testing documented the Carhartt mid-weight hoodie above the budget category average across 100 wash cycles. YKK zipper standard on the full zip version. The drawcord is flat with sealed tips that resist fraying. Consumer Longevity Reports average 5.5 to 6.5 years of regular wear. At $55 across 6 years, the annual cost is $9.17. That is the lowest annual cost of any hoodie on this list below the premium tier. The Carhartt costs less per year of ownership than the Gildan because the triple-stitch construction and heavier fleece extend functional life well beyond the cheaper alternatives' replacement timeline. Hoodie number 7. Reigning Champ Midweight Terry, $185. Reigning Champ retails the midweight Terry hoodie between $165 and $195. The fabric is a 320-gram ring-spun cotton terry fleece developed with Japanese and Canadian mills. Ring-spun processing removes short fibers from the yarn before knitting, producing a smoother, more consistent loop structure that pills less under friction and develops a more refined hand feel over time than carded cotton fleece at equivalent weight. The terry construction, as distinct from standard French terry or brushed fleece, produces a surface with visible loops on the interior and a smooth face on the exterior. The loop structure increases surface area within the fabric, improving breathability relative to a brushed fleece at equivalent weight. Independent thermal testing documents similar warmth performance between the Reigning Champ Terry and a 380-gram brushed fleece, with meaningfully better moisture release during physical activity. The construction uses single needle side seams, a finishing detail that produces cleaner seams with less bulk than surged alternatives. Bar tack stress points at pocket openings and hood attachment. The drawcord is flat grosgrain with sealed tips. Ribbing at cuffs and hem uses a higher gauge construction that retains shape and elasticity across 50-plus wash cycles in documented consumer testing. Manufacturing cost for the Reigning Champ midweight terry runs between $45 and $65. The markup is 3 to 4 times, consistent with the transparent direct-to-consumer brand without a licensing layer or a celebrity campaign inflating the price above the production investment. Consumer Longevity Reports average 6 to 8 years of regular wear. At $185 across 7 years, the annual cost is $26.43. Higher annual cost than the Carhartt, but the ring-spun terry construction delivers a fabric quality and hand feel that the workwear fleece does not attempt to provide. Hoodie number 6, Velva Sheen, Loop Wheel Sweatshirt, $95. Velva Sheen retails its Loop Wheel hoodie between $85 and $110. The brand has been producing sweatshirts in Cincinnati, Ohio since 1932 using Loop Wheel knitting machines, a slow-speed production method that creates a fabric with fundamentally different internal structure from high-speed knitting. Loop wheel machines rotate at a fraction of the speed of modern industrial knitters. The reduced tension on the yarn during knitting produces loops with more natural elasticity, a softer initial hand feel, and a surface that softens progressively with washing rather than degrading through pilling or structural breakdown. Standard high-speed knitting produces fabric under tension that relaxes unevenly with washing, creating the slight surface distortion that makes a new sweatshirt look slightly different after the first wash. Loop wheel fabric relaxes uniformly because it was knit without the tension that causes uneven relaxation. The cotton is a high-grade ring-spun variety at 10 to 12 ounces depending on the style. Tubular body construction on the core sweatshirt line eliminates side seams by knitting the body as a continuous cylinder, removing the primary seam failure point in any sweatshirt. The hood attachment uses a flat felled seam rather than a surged seam, producing a cleaner, more durable junction that distributes stress across a wider seam allowance. at $95 across a documented consumer longevity average of 7 to 10. Years, the annual cost sits at $9.50 to $13.57. Comparable annual cost to the Carhartt despite the significantly higher sticker price because the loop wheel construction extends functional life well beyond standard fleece construction. Hoodie number 5, Merz B. Schwanen, loop-wheeled sweatshirt, $155. Merz B. Schwanen retails its loop-wheeled hoodies and sweatshirts between $140 and $200. The brand has operated in Albstadt, Germany since 1911 using the same loop wheel production principle as mensfashion, but with a specific cotton specification that distinguishes the product at the material level. The cotton is a high-grade combed and ring-spun variety processed to remove short fibers at both the combing and ring-spinning stages. Double processing at 2 separate fiber length reduction steps produces a yarn with measurably higher consistency and surface smoothness than single-processed ring-spun cotton. The result in the finished fabric is a finer surface, more uniform loop structure, and superior pilling resistance because there are fewer short fibers available to migrate to the surface and aggregate into pills under friction. The fabric weight runs 280 to 310 grams depending on the style, heavier than the mensfashion equivalent and producing a more substantial hand feel and higher insulation value. The loop wheel construction at this weight produces a fabric that softens continuously with washing while maintaining structural integrity for documented ownership periods of 10 to 15 years across consumer longevity reports. The manufacturing sites in the Albstadt facility with direct quality oversight across every production stage. No contracted facilities, no offshore component. Manufacturing cost runs between $40 and $60, producing a markup of approximately 3 times. At $155 across 12 years of documented average ownership, the annual cost is $12.92. Lower annual cost than the Champion reverse weave, despite costing $90 more at the register, because the product outlasts the Champion by 8 years. Hoodie number 4, Polo Ralph Lauren, double knit hoodie, $168. Polo Ralph Lauren retails the double knit hoodie between $148 and $185. The fabric is a standard 271 gram 60/40 cotton polyester French terry or double knit construction depending on the season's product offering. The manufacturing runs through contracted facilities in Peru, Sri Lanka, and Bangladesh. Ralph Lauren's gross margin for fiscal year 2025 was 68.6%. Here is where this list becomes directly useful. The Polo Ralph Lauren hoodie at $168 uses a 271 gram cotton polyester blend. The Merz B. Schwanen at $155 uses a 280 to 310 gram loop-wheeled combed ring-spun cotton produced in a German factory running since 1911. The mensfashion at $95 uses a loop wheel construction with tubular body construction and no side seams. The Carhartt at $55 uses a 13-ounce triple-stitch workwear construction with a documented 6-year average lifespan. Ralph Lauren charges $168 for a 271-gram polyester blend hoodie built in the same contracted manufacturing base as brands charging $40 to $80 for equivalent construction. The Polo Pony is doing the pricing work that the fabric and construction are not doing. Consumer longevity reports for the Polo Ralph Lauren hoodie average 2.5 to 3.5 years before pilling, collar rolling, and drawcord fraying require replacement. At $168 across 3 years, the annual cost is $56. That is 6 times the annual cost of the Carhartt for a product with half the documented lifespan. Hoodie number 3, Stone Island Ghost Piece. Hoodie, $550. Stone Island retails the Ghost Piece hooded sweatshirt between $450 and $650. The Ghost Piece line uses a garment-dyed construction where the complete assembled garment is dyed after sewing rather than using pre-dyed fabric. This produces the characteristic slightly uneven, faded tonal appearance across the finished product that functions as the Stone Island Ghost Piece visual signature. The base fabric is a standard 320 to 350 gram cotton fleece before garment dyeing. Garment dyeing adds $15 to $25 to the production cost and produces the visual result described. It does not alter the structural properties of the cotton fleece. A 320-gram garment-dyed cotton hoodie has the same warmth, the same seam integrity, and the same surface durability as a 320-gram standard-dyed cotton hoodie at the same construction standard, because the dye method affects color appearance, not fiber performance. Carlo Rivetti's Stone Island has genuine technical heritage in its outerwear, the ice jacket, the Rosso Gamato, the Tela Stella. These are documented textile innovations. The Ghost Piece hoodie is not a technical textile. It is a standard cotton fleece with a garment dyeing treatment that creates a distinctive visual result and a compass badge on the arm that retails for $550. At $550 across a consumer longevity average of 4 to 5 years for the cotton fleece base, the annual cost is $110 to $137.50. That is 10 to 15 times the annual cost of the Carhartt for a product with shorter documented average lifespan. The compass badge and the garment dyeing treatment account for the entire price gap. The cotton underneath them does not. Hoodie number 2, Balenciaga. Oversized hoodie, $725. Balenciaga retails its oversized cotton hoodie between $650 and $800 depending on the season's colorway and graphic treatment. The base fabric is a 420-gram heavyweight cotton fleece, the heaviest cotton specification on this list and the one honest material quality point in the product at this price. Manufacturing cost for the Balenciaga oversized hoodie, including the heavyweight cotton fleece, any distressing or wash treatment, and the production labor at contracted facilities, runs between $50 and $90, depending on the graphic complexity. Kering posted gross margins above 70% on its ready-to-wear for multiple consecutive years. On a $725 hoodie with a $70 cost of goods, the markup is 10 times. The 420-gram heavyweight cotton is a genuinely good fabric specification. It is heavier than every entry below it on this list except the Mertz B. Schwanen and the Velva Sheen loop wheel constructions. If the fabric were the only consideration, the Balenciaga would rank higher. The fabric is not the only consideration. The oversized fit, the raw hems, the distressed wash treatments, the intentional asymmetric elements. None of these add structural value to the hoodie. They add cultural positioning that was specific to a moment in fashion that is already receding. Kering's quarterly reports document declining Balenciaga revenue across 2023 and 2024 as the cultural moment that sustained the brand's pricing power began to shift. At $725 across 4 to 5 years of consumer longevity documentation for the heavyweight cotton base, the annual cost is $145 to $181.25. The most expensive annual cost on this list for a product whose primary value driver is a cultural moment that the brand's own financial reports confirm is diminishing. Hoodie number 1, Loro Piana Baby Cashmere Hoodie, $965. Loro Piana sits at the top of this list not to validate the price, but to complete the exercise honestly. At $965 for a hoodie, the product is categorically different from every entry below it in one specific way: the fiber. Loro Piana retails its baby cashmere hooded sweatshirt between $850 and $1,100. Baby cashmere is harvested from the undercoat of Herkus goats during their first shearing at 6 to 12 months of age, producing fibers at 13 to 14 microns in diameter compared to the 15 to 18 microns of standard cashmere. The finer the fiber diameter, the softer the hand feel, and the more fluid the drape. Baby cashmere at 13 microns is perceptibly different from standard cashmere at 16 microns in the same way that standard cashmere is perceptibly different from standard merino wool. The difference is not marketing, it is physics. LVMH acquired Loro Piana in 2013 for €2 billion. The manufacturing remains in Corona, Italy, where Loro Piana has controlled the full production chain from raw fiber sourcing to finished garment for generations. The baby cashmere supply is genuinely limited. Fewer than 30 tons are produced globally per year. Loro Piana controls a significant share of that supply through direct relationships with Mongolian and Chinese herders, allowing fiber quality control at the source rather than at the mill. The manufacturing cost for a Loro Piana baby cashmere hoodie, including the raw fiber at $85 to $120 per kilogram, the spinning, the knitting, and the hand finishing in Italy runs between $200 and $350. At $965 retail, the markup is 3 to 5 times production cost, a ratio comparable to reigning champ Merz B. Schwanen and Velveteen, despite the dramatically higher retail price, because the production cost itself is dramatically higher than standard cotton fleece at any weight or construction method. Consumer longevity for Loro Piana cashmere knitwear with proper care, hand washing in cold water, and flat drying averages 15 to 20 years of ownership before any structural degradation. At $965 across 17 years, the annual cost is $56.76, the same annual cost as the Polo Ralph Lauren hoodie that lasts 3 years. The most expensive hoodie on this list costs the same per year as one of the most overpriced hoodies on the list, because the Loro Piana production cost reflects what the fiber actually costs, and the markup is honest relative to that cost. 10 hoodies, prices from $35 to $965. The pattern across all 10 is the same one that appears across every clothing category when you calculate annual ownership cost rather than sticker price. At the bottom, Gildan at $35 and Polo Ralph Lauren at $168 cost within $43 of each other per year of actual ownership. The $133 price gap between them funds a marketing archive and a polo pony. It does not fund a better hoodie. At the top, Loro Piana at $965 costs the same per year as the Ralph Lauren at $168, because one of them costs what it costs to produce, and the other costs what the logo has been trained to command. In the middle, the Carhartt at $55 delivers the lowest annual cost of any hoodie on this list below the premium tier. The Merz B. Schwanen at $155 delivers comparable annual cost to the Champion at $65 while outlasting it by 8 years. The Velveteen at $95 delivers a loop wheel construction that no brand at twice the price replicates. The hoodie industry runs on one assumption, that you will measure value by the sticker price rather than by the annual cost of what you wear. Every entry on this list that fails the annual cost test relies on that assumption being correct. The ones that pass it do not need the assumption. They just need you to run the numbers. Run them once, and the list reorganizes itself in a way that no amount of marketing can undo.